just wanted to talk a little bit about this geometry. It's the vector equilibrium. Some of you may or may not remember this, but this is what Samantha had called the geometry of love. Vector equilibrium was named by Buckminster Fuller, and it's because it's 0 point because all the lines here, they all go to 0. And so this is more of a three-dimensional image. I know it doesn't look like it, so you have to kind of imagine that this plane is horizontal, to these other, and so they all cancel out. So in the geometric terms, it literally is like 0 point. So this is why I've been having it here so that what I'm saying can be taken as neutrally as possible in a sense, and also to help us reconnect to 0 point itself. So that's what that's about. Okay, you're going to take me to the next slide? No? Okay, so the topics for today, just an FYI, for March's meeting, we're going to meet on Saturday, March 23rd, 2024. I'm going to do another one of those sessions jointly with Chastity. The headline that I saw for that was preparing for the April 8th total solar eclipse. And this is going to be massive. There's going to be a very huge leap. I'll mention a little bit more about that. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Lyrans and how they're supporting us in this, what's happening right now. They're very directly involved from my perspective. There's a lot of information coming in from the Lyrans. Talk more about the Ra lineage and the healing of Ra and the Egyptian timeline, which is like the masculine expression here, and the undistorted masculine, and even the healing of the Trinity, or our Christos-Sophia template, and how the fracture of the Ra lineage led to kind of a distorted masculine and electrical energy here that we experience, which is very sharp and razor-like. And so Archons, talk a little bit about Archons. They're the fallen patriarchal domination consciousness, and they're making it, they're being removed, which is making it easy to release a lot of just garbage, let's just say. Talk more about the quantum children. These are kind of, they have autistic-like features, maybe diagnosed with autism. Talk a little bit about what they're doing. Earth plane crystals and the cosmic lymphatic system, intra-spatial dimensions, as Samantha had called them, and there's a massive change going on in the Milky Way galaxy. Timeline shifts related to our DNA and RNA activations. I don't know how much I'm going to be able to talk about this, but just placing it here for, I think we'll talk more about it in the future as like these codes are coming in, acceleration codes, accretion, secretion, excretion, deletion. So these are, seems like adjustments in our body with these codes that are going to be, that have started to come in. And we'll know more about that another time, I think. So I'm talking about this from the sidereal astrology perspective of what's actually in the sky. So coming up in a couple of days, and we're in this energy now, is a Venus and Mars exact conjunction. So Venus kind of representing the Sophia, the Mars kind of representing that masculine Christos consciousness. And so it's like a feminine and masculine embodiment. And I think in the sidereal astrology report that I watched, she said that it's going to be in the sign of Capricorn, which is an earth sign. So there's a full moon this Saturday. The full moon is in Leo, according to sidereal astrology. And to me, that really fits in with what is happening with the raw lineage consciousness, very much related to Leo, the heart. That's our Leo, and the lion is like the base soul matrix in the heart chakra, or the fourth chakra, as we might call it, 4D. So this is why it's so important right now with this Leo consciousness coming in and the healing of Ra. There's also a lunar eclipse that's coming up on March 25th. And so we were looking at the dates, Chessie and I, and so if we do that meeting on March 23rd, the Saturday, we're in kind of in both that energy of the spring equinox and also this lunar eclipse, if we're both able to think at that time. And then on the 8th of April is a total solar eclipse. And I'll post an article that my husband found from Newsweek. And there isn't going to be another total solar eclipse again until 2044, it's projected. So this is the last total solar eclipse we're going to have in a while. And interestingly, I guess the other one happened in 2017. I can't remember what month, maybe. I can't remember what month, but the last one had happened in 2017. And as I mentioned before, that seemed to be when things really got stirred up, was in 2017. A lot of things started happening. So this is massive. And it's also massive because one of the sidereal astrologists that I was meeting with for a session, we got to talking about the solar eclipse in April. And so she showed me on her map, they can forward, there's a program, a software that they use. And she was showing me the solar eclipse, and all the planets, like literally, are all bunched up by the midheaven. So like 9th and 10th house in the midheaven. So, it'll be very interesting to see what that feels like. But this is a major leap going forward. So meditation we're going to do today, we're going to activate the cosmic lymphatic system to heal and clear shadow bodies we have access to in this moment, and any other implants, suppressor devices, and also adjust our mental and emotional aspects into wholeness. We're going to adjust the Hara channels and all vertical channels and horizontal channels. Right before coming on, of course, they started showing me how the raw channels are being like rebuilt. And so I'm a little dizzy. Adjust our Dantian centers to stabilize and balance for the continued evolutionary process. And then just to say that may each heal and clear, dissipate and dissolve all that is inorganic, and enable the God-seated genetic codes to emerge and activate according to each person's soul mission. So that's the intention today. And let all debris be cleared through the quantum lymphatic system and cosmic God's eternal flames. All right, so this is a Lyran that I had first met in 2020. And really, I hadn't really connected with Lyrans before, honestly. It was one of those, I think it happened to be Mother's Day that day, and I couldn't even get out of bed. And I was kind of slipping in and out of sleeping, and I could never quite get up. And suddenly I saw this Lyran standing above me, standing over me. I could see his boots. I could see this golden dress that he was wearing. Not a dress, but I mean, this whole outfit, just gold and these these brown suede-like boots that he was wearing. And I just remember him bending down and removing an implant from my head, from the back of my brainstem. And all of a sudden, I went through this portal, and I came out into the cradle of Lyra. And I mean, this is almost exactly like what I saw. I felt like I'd seen it with my eyes at that time. So the cradle of Lyra spans through the 10th, 11th, and 12th dimensions, or fourth harmonic universe. And from the fifth harmonic universe, which is 13th, 14th, and 15th dimensions, um, they seeded the human blueprint into the cradle of Lyra. You might be able to hear Sammy. So how exactly it spans through that entire fourth harmonic universe, I'm not really sure, but that's where our genetic blueprint is seeded into. And the Lyrans have a particular interest in humanity. They're one of the founder races, meaning that they're not gods to be worshipped or anything, but they are like very early expressions of God's source. So they span back from hundreds of billions of years ago, and they're not the only ones. So if you imagine that God has an expression, and it's creating an expression through these vast, like light bodies, so to speak. These founder races can be thought of as just that. And the Lyrans aren't the only ones, like I said, but they're one of the key ones because they gave their about over 50% of the human genetic blueprint is actually Lyran, he said. And some people can have up to 75% Lyran, and other people can have, other traces of more of other founder races. So this is different than the progenitors that some people are talking about. That's the claim that they hold the one human blueprint. And, I would say that's not accurate. They they're false progenitors and projecting themselves as like these false gods. So these are the true founder races. And again, they're a part of us. They're not to be worshipped. This is the God inspired blueprint that we have, and we have their energetic genome from them to be God's source expressions. Okay. So they seeded into the cradle of Lyra, and then we kind of, as the blueprint comes down in density, right? Because this would be the least dense, and then when you come down from the ninth to the first dimensional levels, then we take on more and more density. So this was a representation of what I kind of started seeing. I don't know, a few weeks ago. And let me just take a drink of water here. That's raw lineage split in a sector of the cosmos, that there was some traumatic event. I don't know at this time what caused that, but there was a some kind of fracture that happened, and this was several billions of years ago as well. So what it did with some souls that were in that sector of the cosmos, it was like a shock to the system. And so they became separated from the other sun, which would be, part of themselves. So let's say here, this would be a connection to, thousands and thousands of other suns, and they became separated from aspects of their avatar self. So it's like they forgot who they are and where they came from. So what I was shown was that with this like lightning bolt, so to speak, that came through, there was a kind of a rage that was born that the cosmos had not known before. So it's kind of like the very simple analogy was like, you know, if you stub your toe really hard on something, or let's say something falls on your foot, you know, you get really angry. You know, it's like a shock to the system. You weren't expecting something like that, and you know, there's an anger that comes up because of what just happened. So it's kind of along those lines. And so with this was born a kind of a natural electric energy, which we hadn't really known before. So the energy, that electric energy that we even currently exist on is very sharp. It's very jagged, and it's damaging to our bodies, you know. And when you think about um, like the thrill-seeking people, the shows that are put in front of us, the violence, uh, it's like there are many people who don't know what it means to feel kind of good in a sense, and they get you get it's like an addiction to that electric surge to feel, you know. So the violence, the sexual seeking sexual pleasure to get that kind of rush and continuing to need it over and over again because they can't be satisfied. It it's it feels like it was happened from this trauma that took place. And so uh, as this is being healed now, there's a lot of there are some souls that can reconnect to their avatar selves. Now, if you some of you may have remembered that raw lineage link that I had shared about in the Ascension Glossary, that there was kind of maybe a Luciferian kind of consciousness that was born from that, or over time that became, you know, like the separation consciousness that happened. The other good link is about this raw confederacy, because part of this raw confederacy and some of the souls here are to retrieve these souls, or reconnect them to the fullness of their avatar selves. So, I mean, it looks like not everyone might be ready for this, let's say, quote, rehabilitation, because if they're still playing or running more of that consciousness, the Luciferian consciousness, and at the extreme of this Luciferian consciousness and domination is like satanic ritual abuse and those kinds of things where they can't be satisfied, and so they engage in these kinds of very very negative and damaging behaviors to get that, to seek that thrill, and also then to continue to take over certain sections of really the cosmic grid is what it comes down to. So I'll try and describe a little bit more of that as we go here. I know it sounds like I'm talking science fiction, but you know, I mean, it seems to be very accurate. So Sammy had me, you know, draw these two images. So this would be like the golden energy coming in to heal that trauma, the traumatic effect. And then this would be a massive um, cosmic father son that's coming in to reunite these two suns, so to speak, right? Suns, S-O-N, and also can be seen as S-U-N. So this is seems to be why we see this patriarchal domination around the planet, and we're waking up to just how much this patriarchal domination consciousness has been prevalent on the planet. They run our governments. You can see it playing out now. So this is one of the really exciting things that's happening. Kind of reminder from last session when we were talking about this book that Sammy had transmitted from Messier 41. I'm just referring to it again because we're talking about the sort of the cosmic grid network. So from God's source to heal all distortions, there was a genetic seed codes that was decided upon. I don't know how many billions of years ago, and then traveling through consciousness corridors to get here. Genetic markers and coordinate markers, cross bearers or coordinate bearers. So I'm going to try and talk a little bit about the cross bearers or coordinate bearers and how the Archons, in a sense, or that consciousness have actually we're taking over some of those coordinates over time here, and who the cross bearers kind of are. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so Archons, what are they? I read this a few years ago, but when I read it again now, preparing for this, I was struck by how much this actually seems to dominate our planet. So Archon is defined as a false king of tyranny, a ruler that controls through masks and deceptions, and through warring technological abuse. They engage in mind control, frequency implants, military strategies, and they're human and non-human sources. So I won't read all of it. Their archontic deception and its patriarchal oligarchy stems mostly from the reptilian and draconian races from the Orion constellation, and together they are called the Orion group. So this is the link that I'll post with their recording as well. So meaning that the consciousness is characterized by using physical threats, patriarchal domination, inducing fear, and they use like violence, sexual abuse for control and domination to dominate a person. And this would be how they take over portions of the grid, especially with star seeds. Some might call them like indigo 1s, indigo 2s, indigo 3s, crystal children, because they can see who you are by the light that you have potentially to emanate. And so especially satanic sexual abuse, ritual abuse, they can infiltrate that person's light body, and then they take over a section of their light body sphere. I know it sounds kind of unbelievable, but I mean, I've talked to people, that's happened to, and this is part of their means. So using fear to motivate behavior, I mean, you start to think about how prevalent that actually is. And even as a parent myself, raising my kids, how much I would engage in that. You use fear as a parent to, get your kids to cooperate, or to try and motivate them. And for those of us growing up, before a certain time period, that may have worked, but I would say with the newer kids, it doesn't really work anymore. And we've seen this playing out even from our own governments, right, over the last few years, to induce a certain level of persuade you to take certain actions. Let's say, taking shots. So we've seen this going on, and it's been played for a very, very long time. And when you think about the newer children, I mean, even with my kids, um, those of you who might remember that my oldest has Down syndrome, Sammy is autistic, and then I have a neurotypical son who was born in 2001. So um, to various degrees, it's like, I couldn't control them just by that fear, or trying to induce some fear in them for certain things. It just doesn't work. That if they don't feel it inside, they're not going to cooperate. Even to this day, um, like Chris you can't get his cooperation if you're mad or if you're being dogmatic. You have to use lots of positive kinds of language and reinforcement, because you're just not going to get him to cooperate. That's just the bottom line. And it's frustrating, as a parent for me at times, especially if I have a lot going on. But it doesn't work. Didn't work with Sam. No matter what, if she was not going to do something, especially once they get older, um, you're just not going to get them to cooperate. And I have two grandnieces who were born in 2020, and their parents mentioned the same thing, that they have to use the right language. You're not going to get them. They're not going to agree to fear types of motivational strategies, and remember the language that was used when we were growing up. Oh, you're gonna cry about that? Yeah, I'll give you something to cry about. Very physical kinds of, maybe not characterized as physical abuse, but using the belt, as you might say, or even 50, 60 years ago, children going to Catholic schools, the nuns, they could whip you with a stick, at the time. So those kinds of archontic consciousness has been, I would say, very pervasive on the planet, and we are moving out of that. We have to move out of that. And as you can see, it looks like more people are not buying into that anymore, as they kind of are beginning to see what is actually happening on the planet. So if you have any questions or comments, Anya, just put them in the chat if you want. Otherwise, I'll keep going. Just for reference again, when referring to the 12-tree grid, or the organic, let's say, tree of life, this is the 12-tree grid, and we're connected to it in our body. So this is our light body sort of grid system. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, why it's kind of a grid system as we go. But just for reference, so that you kind of remember that this is the 12-tree grid, and they're multi-dimensional, right? So each one is a dimension. This is first dimension, second dimension, third, fourth, fifth. And this is how we're literally physically connected to the dimensionalized system that creates a physical human. So through some satanic ritual abuse and things, they are infiltrating into the light body and taking over one of your grid networks in the light body. It sounds pretty heinous, but that's literally what's been going on. So I'm going to try using a much more simplified analogy by using an actual tree. This would be like the golden tree of life, based on let's say a crystal spiral that is organically spiraling. And this would be a representation of the black tree of life, or what they've bent the human to operate in on a 10 tree grid, 10-dimensional instead of 12-dimensional. So, and this is the Fibonacci spiral. So what this means here is the Fibonacci series starts with 1. So let's say this is line 1, right? Whereas the organic tree of life, it starts with 0, and it goes deeper, let's say, into dark matter, where the seed is actually planted. So this would be like 0 point. Okay. Now, the Fibonacci, or Black Tree of Life, is kind of steering you in a certain direction. It's manipulating, and I would call this more of the AI transhumanism agenda kind of pathway that they have been trying to create. And the crystal spiral, or this spiral of the organic tree of life, means that you continue to expand into the cosmos, and you support continued cosmic evolution. Now, the other important thing about this golden tree of life and being able to access 0 point is that when we then co-create, we're always checking back, because at 0 point, right? Is this okay to create? Whereas here, you've forgotten what's okay to create. You're going in a different direction. You're not connected to 0 point, where you would access the source field of the all that is, so to speak. And so, you might think that, oh, let's see what we can do about the brain. How can we infiltrate the brain? Let's experiment on monkeys and animals and implant them with these implants in the brain and see what happens. Can we create a neural link? I mean, some of you understand what I'm talking about here, and the agenda that's going on with these neural links, right? So they are disconnected from the sense of what is okay and what is not okay to create. What would be in alignment to enable the cosmos to flourish, and all life and all creation to flourish. Whereas this is, it's killing things. It's killing plants, it's killing animals, it's polluting, right? And their only solution to get out of it is to try and keep fixing it. And the more they try to keep fixing it, the more distorted it becomes. So this has been what's been playing out on this planet, in a kind of that fallen archontic consciousness, so to speak. So how do they manage to do this? I'm going to try and draw some of these points. Well, they, like, if you remember, so the 12 tree grid, the organic tree of life, right? They have literally been like taking over these cross points, or what did Sammy call them? The cross bearers. So that's what that means. Some of these humans who are indigos, right? Star seeds, they have very expanded light bodies. Their grid system, the 12 tree grid, expands out and layers out into the cosmos. So you take over one of these grid points, and now you can block this organic tree of life to bend into an inorganic tree of life, So you take over these grid points, and now this cross point here, as you can see, this is like the cross, right? So this is sort of like crucifixion in a sense. So you take over those, and then you can start maneuvering that organic tree of life into a distorted black tree of life. So now what's what's happening, let me talk a little bit about this grid system. I just feel a Lyran coming in. So, we think of like grid system as something that maybe is made up, that has to do with Earth, it's humanity that's kind of made it up. But there is a kind of cosmic grid as the cosmos evolved, let's say, from let's say outer to inner. And so the Lyrans, there are many of the Lyrans are architects, and so they have built out these grids. They were building out these grids network over billions and billions of years. And I'll talk more about it when we get to the next slide, when we show that more of a expanded cosmic kind of trees of life that they're of the cosmos, so to speak. So now what's happening is they take over these grid points, right, in the grid system of the cosmos, and it's almost like these archontic substances that are plugged in there. Okay. And so it looks like even when that raw lineage was split, that consciousness was started to be born, and then over time becomes denser and denser. So they plug in these really icky, gooey types of substances that's plasma-like, but it's just dirty. It's just dirty plasma is the only way I can say it. They plug it in so that they can, that's how they kind of manipulate this grid system. So in a simplified way, what's happening now is, let's say there's new energy coming in, or the cosmic father, as many access points and portals have now opened, okay, from the cosmos, from the greater cosmos. It's like cosmic father is coming in, and his cosmic father's substance, let's say, that holds the cosmos together is this black matter. So when we say it, black not meaning in negative, but it's like a black gold of father. And so as he's coming in now, it's like these grid points are being taken back, right? They're being dissolved and removed. And so what's happening now is they're removed, and then a dragon is coming in. There are dragons coming in to take over those grail points is what it comes down to. And what else was I going to say? Oh yeah, and then so there are cosmic souls. I'm just going to call them cosmic souls, who are then repairing these points. So they're reconnecting these points so that the grid network is being cleaned up, so to speak. I hope that made sense. Right. Is that it on this page? I think so. So if you take that idea of the, come on, let's go. My thing is not working. All right, let's see if I close that. Okay, there we go. I have to close that. All right. So I put a couple of points in there too. I was trying it out earlier. So if you imagine this, these trees of life, they create like a network that spans out. Let's say this is the greater cosmos. Okay. And these energetic grid networks, right, vertical, horizontal, diagonal channels, were built out over millions or billions of years. And oops, let's go back. So it's like they were building them out from outside to inner, okay? From outer to inner, they're building out these grids. And why is that? Because if we imagine that God source exists as just pure breath in the cosmos, how does it take on a dense body, right? So the grid network, in a sense, are like anchors. They're anchors to the greater cosmos. So these energetic grid points are just that, so that God source can have an experience of becoming, let's say, denser and denser in a sense. And it enables a certain kind of experience that that source can have. And that's what the Lyrans were doing, was building out these grid points. And he's saying, the Lyran is saying, so you are each like a grid point of your light body, these greater aspects of the light body. So there are, the souls that are emanating from like way out here, let's say, would be the most kind of expanded. And so all along here, you can, your soul may be stationed here, or someone else's soul may be stationed here, and someone else's soul is maybe stationed here. So what they were doing is there are what we might call the masters, the great souls that we've seen on the planet. They would have the most expanded light body structure, so to speak. And so that's why some of them were then taken over. So these are like the masters, like even Ezekiel and Akhenaten from Egypt, even though they don't say very good things about him, Akhenaten, in the history books and things. But some of these souls, they crucify them and they take over them because of their very expanded light body structures, right? They can see their signature when they come in. Just like a lot of these crystal children, they can see their light body structures coming in, and so they try and overtake their light bodies. I mean, I know this is it sounds like science fiction, but this is what I'm seeing. So they take over, but really to direct the cosmos into a different direction, because again, when your consciousness is fractured, it's almost like you're operating like someone who has dementia, and you don't get it, and no matter what you do, you can't see it. So this has been the plan, in a sense, all along, of these autistics and other children who are wired differently. They're becoming more and more refined, and they're not connected to the physical grid system like we are. Their consciousness remains, again, in that seventh, eighth, ninth dimensional level, so that they don't forget who they actually are. But then in that system, then but their physical bodies can't operate in this distorted blueprint that's been tampered with, and the genetics has been tampered with. So, and we've been hybridized, So all these things to try and control the human, because they need the human, in a sense, because of our light, the light that we bring. Because remember, in a black tree fallen system, the only way you can get new energy is to siphon it from somebody else. So we have many siphoning kinds of systems in our world. It's in our economic system, it's in our government, and they raise children to be part of a siphoning kind of system. That would be like the vampire, the mythology of the vampire. They can't live in the light, and so they have to drink the blood of someone or something that's alive. That's the concept of a siphoning system, and that would implode itself. So Cosmic Father, like coming in now in this way, and again, it's not that Cosmic Father wasn't there. We had to take the grids back at different stages, and there are many expanded souls that have been doing that for the last I don't know, many years. So Cosmic Father is now able to kind of come in, and the feeling that I get is that like children who have been playing with fire, it's like, okay, enough is enough. We're just going to just take it away from you now. Is the idea. It's not like they're being quote punished, but it can't, the cosmos cannot allow this this sort of cancer and infection to keep growing, is basically what it comes down to. So this is a very major step forward, and I think it's interesting how the astrology is aligning to this. And 2024, everybody is talking about 2024. This is the big year. It's an 8. It's accelerated. It's exponential, and this solar eclipse in April is like a massive leap, so to speak. Oh, the other thing that I have to mention, someone is reminding me of, is that these are also timelines. These grid patterns. These are also timelines. So or your vector codes. So as these are being taken out, and like, so that black tree of life, it's directing souls into a timeline, a certain timeline, a trajectory of which is the transhumanism agenda, right? And mixing the human with artificial kinds of devices and things. So that's the timeline that they want humanity to be on. And as these are opening up, then I'm seeing the organic timelines like opening up. They're starting to open up. And each of your trajectories is going to be based on your genetic blueprint, because the genes hold the time vector codes of where you're going to go. And the Lyran is saying the human blueprint, it's literally in your DNA about each step in each phase. And so as we get through, as we were supposed to get through each phase, then another level of our DNA would be activated, so that then, our bodies are adjusted again, right? That's the evolutionary piece of the human body, and how you can adapt. The human race and the planet can adapt to each phase of this ascension, and adapt your alchemical codes, so to speak. So I hope that makes sense. But yeah, these markings are still there. Huh? Okay, let me see. I feel I'm saying a lot, so if you want to take a deep breath. Okay, maybe I needed the deep breath. All right, so next slide. The healing of the raw lineage. Well, those are still there. I don't know why those are still there. Oh, it's showing up on the screen. Let me see. Hi. There we go. Okay, so the healing of the Ra lineage and was attempted in the past. So if you remember the blog that I put out during like around that time of the end of the Ice Age, we were in the age of Leo. I'm not sure if that's from the tropical system or the sidereal system, because it's going to be off by a couple thousand years. But anyway, they were attempting, from what Samantha showed me, because it seemed like it was very, very personal for her, as she seemed to be part of this consciousness of the Sphinx, and the Lyran was transmitting this, that, because remember, the split of the Ra lineage happened, billions of years ago, a few billion years ago. So this is just, maybe like 10,000 years ago. They were coming in to attempt to heal the Ra lineage at that time. So the sense is that people on the planet at that time that were remained, that survived, were getting the message. They were having visions and getting the message to start building this lioness. And so they started building her head, and I'm not sure exactly when, but they were going to build that body so that Mihit, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name, but can be the embodiment or the library of that pure, raw consciousness. So, and again, the feminine is magnetic, so she can draw it down, into her body. So her body was going to be like the womb of this. And by then, that Luciferian consciousness already, existed on the planet. And this is also after then Atlantis. So, but the Luciferian consciousness, according to some, happened like 26,000 BC or something like that. So it was already on the planet. And so then obviously they're not happy that this is happening. And so a war kind of ensued. And so they cut off the head of the lioness, which is like a decapitation of her. And I remember when this was coming in, because Samantha just started jumping up and down, and I could just feel her anger. And as the Lyran described it, because it was like the war started, because it was like, it brought out that lioness instinct of protecting her womb. So that's what it was kind of like. So there were many wars and battles, I don't know over how many hundreds of years. And this is why the first pharaohs of Egypt initially were Lyran. So they were of Lyran consciousness. And then, there were others, Iranians and Syrians. So some of the Iranian, or the ones from Orion, I don't have a good feeling about. But it was Giza, that whole area. It feels like it was supposed to be the temple of Ra, because the fourth Stargate, the fourth dimension, is our heart. It's our heart chakra. That's why we see the lion associated with the human heart. And this is why it's so important to awaken the collective human heart with this healing of Ra. Okay, so it was destroyed, and human was not able to connect to the heart center. Another piece. Oh, and then they attempted again to rebuild the Sphinx, and so the pharaoh, I think his name is Khafre, I think Khafre. He was one of the sons of Pharaoh Khufu, I guess. And so he was very much influenced by Mahit, again, this communication that was going on. So from what I read, as soon as uh, Pharaoh Khafre got into the throne, he began immediately began on a construction of another pyramid. I think it's, I'm pretty sure it's the middle-sized one. So that was another attempt to bring this raw consciousness back, and that one failed as well. So this is sort of the brief history that I have about this. I don't know where Sekhmet fits into this yet, because she's associated with Ra. She is also is considered to have that very violent side. So I don't know. I don't want to kind of make things up right now. But Akhenaten's coming in right now. Let me see what Akhenaten wants to add. Akhenaten is saying Khufu, King Khufu, was Syrian. Khafre was, even though he was the son of Khufu, he was more Lyran, and a lot of Lyran genetics in him. Khafre was an architect of ancient Lyrans lineage, the original builders. So he was very intelligent and very visually could see how the pyramid should be built or would be built. Yeah, so that's from Akhenaten, who is considered to be of like a Christos, Christos human, at the time. He was of the Christ consciousness lineage. So was Hatshepsut, one of the female pharaohs. Okay, so in this correction of what we're getting now is then there are new raw tones of the raw channel, and so the Hara channel, so to speak. So the Hara lines are what establishes the central vertical channel, our central vertical channel. They open when the cosmic father creates an opening with the star icosahedron. This is according to Samantha that we've worked with before, that star icosahedron, the 20-pointed star. This enables the breath to come through. And the Ha would be like the magnetic channel of mother, and the Ra, the electric of father. So another reason why this healing of the Ra lineage is so significant in our realm. The Ra is also the horizontal channels of the masculine grid. Even though it comes in vertically, then I'm seeing our, Samantha's saying our correct connection to the horizontal grid network is established by this raw channel. Okay. And so, okay, so thinking back to what I was showing about the grid network, so as these grids are being repaired, um, so the corrected horizontal channels are starting to come online again. So if you think of breath coming in, it's like, what are you going to anchor to so that you don't just float off? And so it's like that horizontal network is something to anchor into, to start to come in to and then manifest a density, a dense body. Sammy also saying right now, these raw tones are also important in the activation of your DNA. So the masculine is like the male principle, the father principle is the acceleration codes. It starts to basically activate the genetic seed codes. I know I'm saying a lot here. Okay, the Diamond River flows. This is something that Sam showed me in 2021. I had no idea at that time what that was. So this is like one diamond, and this is 144 Earth plane crystals. So I didn't understand what the significance of these were, but just starting to see how those relate now. And we'll get back to this in a bit. Okay, so these quantum children, as I'm, don't know what else to call them at this time, they're connected to the source of the quantum field. So this is like what the autists called it in 2019, I think, was if you go through the 13th dimensional gateway, it's also called the Mother Arc Gateway, and you go all the way through, you access these 7 universes, or micro universes, they call them. And they are the source of the quantum field. They're like micro consciousness units of source. So these kids started coming in late 2016, and as some of you have heard me used to say, that like our chakras are dissolving, and it was late 2016 is when I started to feel like my chakras were dissolving. And so I thought, oh, this is happening right away, at that time. So now I'm seeing these children were starting to be born. So they were starting to be born late 2016. 2017 is when there was a big preparation in our universe to move that first, second, and third dimensions into the second harmonic universe. And so these kids started to come in connected to this. And I had the opportunity to meet with a mom and her son that I'll just call Leo. And it's exactly what he showed me. He was like going back and forth from being pure particle and then like reassembling himself, and his central vertical channel was literally like particles. And he said particles is not exactly the right word, but that's the closest that we have at this time. So very, very quantum, very, very quantum. And he, was starting to show me he was born in, I think he's going to be 7 years old this fall. And so he was showing me what he's here to emanate. So people can't understand what he's doing right now, but like around 2026, more people would be kind of open to what he's doing. So he, through these particles, he's sending out waves, very refined waves to people to help them kind of adjust. So, we're kind of used to this idea that we have to have chakras in order to stay connected, to stay here. But if we're changing frequencies, we're getting lighter, we're becoming more refined, and we're changing density, then we don't need those, quote, very dense 7 chakras. So these children have been coming in, for a while with different kind of chakra systems, much lighter. I remember when Sam showed me her chakra system for the first time. I think it was around 2015, 2016. 15 chakras. She was like, I came in on a 15 chakra system. And that's to connect to the 15 dimensions. And they didn't look like the colors that we're used to, where they say red is the root and orange is the sacral. They didn't look like that. They looked like crystals, and they looked like much lighter, they had much lighter colors. So, so all of us, those of us born into more of a density, we may probably still be running some kind of chakra system that's more crystalline-like, more diamond-like. These new kids don't seem to, quote, need that kind of chakra system, but we'll see. So they, if they're connected to this quantum field, I mean, they have much, much to teach us and show us when they become like in their late late teens. And, they'll literally be a new science will literally be born because of them, and and how to use some of this new technology. So they also seem to be connecting us into quote 60 dimensions. This should really be in quotes. So right now, some of the Orifeme races, which would be the very cosmic souls, they say, we connect into 48 dimensions, 48 strands of DNA, it's called. I don't know if anybody's verified that or not. But they seem to be connecting us into, quote, these 60 dimensions where the macrocosm and the microcosm are literally connected in a very different way. And there's something that feels more stable about this 60 dimensional system because of prime numbers. So prime numbers are somehow like anchor points in the cosmic grid network. So if you look at 40, if we were to think of 48 dimensions, then 49 would be the next higher number that we would anchor to. And 49 is not a prime number. So a prime number can only be divisible by itself or 1. So like 3 is a prime number, 2 is a prime number, because you can only get 1 times 2 or 2 times 1. So 1 times 3 and 3 times 1. 49 is 1 and 49, and also 7 times 7 is 49. So it's not a prime number. So, and 60 dimensions would be multiples of 12 again, just like the 12-tree grid network. And 61, which is a prime number, would be the anchor point. I know mentally, I don't understand that, but it makes sense to me in my heart. And there's something in my body that says this actually feels more stable. So the other piece about them is that they're connecting us, what Sammy had called intradimensional spaces. And these are like quantum connections within the dimensions. And that's what those diamond and the 144 earth plane crystals is they're connecting us into these diamond river flows of the quantum field. So It's actually like a neutrino substance when I being shown about feeling it a little bit. It has a very kind of, it has kind of a magnetic quality to it, but it's very clean and, things will, it will draw things out, but it's not sticky. It's a kind of a weird feeling. And same thing with the electric principle as this raw lineage is being healed, that raw split, and that electric energy is healed. There's something more neutral about it. And neutral, not meaning dead, but it has a quality that is much more soothing to the body. And I feel like that was the reason why, even for seizures, that this very sharp energy and the way it would go through certain people's neurological system. So, I'm hoping that this will help with those kids out there that have seizures. So this is like a cosmic lymphatic system, and Sammy had shown us a few years ago when she showed those earth plane crystals that you access it between the toes. If you rub between the toes and even between your fingers, um, we can stimulate this cosmic lymphatic system. Um, so it's exciting for us individually because I feel like, again, it's another way of making it easier for us to detox, but it feels like also then clearing out the impurities and all the garbage that's being thrown at us through our waters and air and food and things can be also be cleared out much faster. Now, what does much faster mean? I don't know, if it means 10 years, 15 years, but certainly the comparison Samantha showed me right now is that if you imagine that it might have taken, a few hundred years, this is going to be, a few decades. So certainly seems like uh, things can start clearing out and our waters can be cleared out much more efficiently. And then if we can change our technology to cleaner technology even, then and we can stop this pollution, then I think it feels like we'll be in better shape than these archons on the planet want, so to speak. Okay, hopefully I'm making sense and I haven't lost all of you. Watch the replay if you want to go back to things. I know this is a mouthful that I'm saying. All right, so these quantum autists, I also saw them. So they say this is a Milky Way galaxy, and I saw them like coming in, I don't know, maybe 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago. Like they were emerging out of the Milky Way galaxy here. And then Sam and them, they were doing something. And then, I don't know, they did something. And it's like this black hole emerged underneath, so to speak. It's like a black liquid gold. Sam said it's really not a black hole, but that's the closest that we can imagine it. So somehow it's aligning the Milky Way galaxy to simultaneous time, connecting it to those quasars in the outer edges of the universe, or where new galaxies are being born, and we're getting Samantha's using the word pre-atomic substances. So they're not even, they're more than subatomic. I don't know, I don't even know what the right word is, but it's like Leo is saying, it's something we don't understand right now. We don't have a word for it, a concept for it. There's no way of quote measuring it at this time. So they're really bringing in even more refined technology now. Oh, and one other child that I need to bring into the group that's part of this group is I was having a dream about him this morning, and he said his name is Ryan, and he's 5 years old, and he was showing me that he's part of this group. His dad is part of the raw lineage that is being healed, but his dad's having a hard time right now. He lost his mom a couple of years ago, and his dad is struggling with with the changes going on. So we're going to hold him in our meditation as well. So he just came to mind as I was talking about these quantum children. Okay, yeah, we got to keep rolling here. Look how long it's. Oh my goodness, it's 8 o'clock, 8 p.m. my time. This is another Lyran that's coming in. He's considered a Lyran physician, and I think probably has a slightly different meaning than what we think of as physician. But one of the things he's doing, he said, is he's helping us to clean up and heal the electric energy, electric pulses that we are wired to in our bodies at this time. Help with neurology, help with organ systems, body systems, and how the energy body uses. Right now he's saying he's giving me more information now. Electrons, neutrinos, sublimation. I was calling it sublimation strategies. That means, from what I remember, right, how one substance can go to a different state, like skipping a state, I think, going from like a solid state to a gaseous state, skipping the liquid phase, I think, if I remember. I think that's what it is in chemistry. And this lady of Lyra that I've shared before, now she's finally come forward and said that must just be the right time, that she's a Lyran geneticist. So she's going to be assisting us going forward. Okay, I keep going here. Lucy introduced us last month to the Messier 17, which is known as the Omega Nebula and also the Swan Nebula. So this is emanating from Messier 17, is the mother's pink swan and father's lavender swans. That sacred union of the masculine and feminine within us with this Ha-Ra adjustment. Sam had me draw this yesterday. So the Trinity with the correct Ra sons are happening, and our little lioness, well, she's not little, but our lioness is helping us, and this is the symbol for Gemini, which is the bridging of polarity, so to speak. So again, in 2 days, well, we're in the energy now of that Venus and Mars conjunction, which is about bringing polarities and masculine and feminine together. All right, so that's it for the presentation part. If there's no questions or any comments, we'll get to the meditation. And I have just put the image back up of the, this would be the central vertical channel. and the Dantean centers. The three main ones, this bottom one, this second one is here on the high heart, and the third one that goes through like the eyebrow area. So we're going to have that up for the energy of it and the ha-ra tones. Well, somebody wants to comment. All right, everyone. Good night and happy integrating. We'll see you next time.